This thing called the SPP, the Security and Prosperity Partnership of North America, we also call it NAFTA Plus and Fortress America, because it's taking NAFTA into the next stage of customs unions and even possibly monetary union with the Amero, to try to create an equivalent of the European Union with supranational structures to administer. But there's no dialogue with the people. It's been done in secrecy, and so it's very much a corporate-controlled agenda with big business interacting with political elite, you know. And when somebody from one of the political parties tried to have this looked at through a parliamentary hearing, the present government closed it down. They shut it down. There was huge obstruction to try to get this, you know, in front of the people. And so we had a large integrate this challenging the SPP meeting in end of March, where we had 1,000 activists and concerned citizens from across the country. Really, and we had representatives of the shadow Mexican cabinet and from the US activist community. And they basically, we started a movement at that time, and everybody that was there basically said, we're going out of here and we're going to never not be talking about this. And so, you know, part of my being here, it's a Green Party policy, but it's part of a growing movement in Canada now that we need to have debate about this. We recognize the crisis that we have and with the environment and oil and the whole thing. And so we're at a point where we need to have a national dialogue about what kind of an economy we want for the future. And the Green Party economy does not envision this large corporate globalized kind of an economy. We recognize the need for trade, but you know, there's a limited amount of trade that we should be engaged in because of the crisis with greenhouse gas. And so we would like to see a much more localized economy, which is much more sustainable. And we have policies in our food policy and fisheries that will move us to more sustainable local economies. We believe very much that if you want to be sustainable, you have to have community involved, you have to have more participatory democracy. So it's a total, so our platform will try to show the way, you know, to how we move beyond this globalized corporate economy, but still recognizing the value of trade, but not this type of trade that's going to be trucking things 12,000 or shipping things 12,000 miles, you know, and then down through the super corridors into the Walmarts and so on, you know, with we don't feel we need this open labor market with non-unionized Mexicans coming up to work here. We just need to transform the economy at this point. So for all these reasons, we feel that this SPP is totally anti-democratic. It's creating these fear tactics and then the perceived need for security measures like surveillance and databases and fences, even proposing walls along the Canadian border. But meanwhile,
I hadn't heard that.
Oh yeah, and the people that are in this newly appointed North American Competitiveness Council, the big businesses that will benefit from the surveillance industry. So it's just like an extension of the weapons industry, you know, and many of them are the same corporations, and they'll be doing the surveillance stuff. You know, for example, Lockheed Martin even does databases, and they're starting to do our census with a subsidiary plant, and we protested this wildly, you know, that we should have Lockheed Martin doing our census for us, and many people in Canada refuse to, you know, to take part in it actually because of that. So we're trying to create this awareness that there is something, you know, going on, that before this, the North American Task Force on the future, what's it called? The future came out just before this SPP was signed. And they've even got plans to have a North American curriculum. They're talking about a branding and a logo for North America and a unified curriculum to get in the schools, probably on CDs, as you could imagine. And so this is the sinister stuff. And, you know, we're all sovereign nations, and we know that if democracy is going to exist, you know, you can't have supranational bodies that don't even have representation. You know, there are many reasons based in our policy why we would not want the SPP. But the environmental issues and the energy issues are, you know, are supreme, really, because with this mess we have with the tar sands in Alberta, which is absolutely, you know, phenomenally huge, and water guzzling and gas guzzling to produce it, and then greenhouse gas emissions, which have kept us from meeting our Kyoto commitments.
Right.
And the present government is worse than the Liberal government that saw it in to you know, and we've opened up for foreign investment, so we have very little control over our natural resources, and that is the intent, to have Canada as the natural resource base for this big North American economy. And so we're losing control of the store, and the political and business elite with the SPP want to give away energy, they want to give away water, you know, and that's the deal if we can keep the trade flowing, because they've always seen that that's our salvation, is to have trade with the U.S. Now there's some recognition that the United States economy is not doing so well. We shouldn't have all our eggs in one basket. So now our government officials are rushing over to India and to Asia, you know, to try to get goods coming in that direction. And they're going to Europe as well to try to form a European kind of NAFTA coalition. So it's very troubling at this point.